Because Apple has launched its latest smartphone, the iPhone 15, during its latest event at California's headquarters. And joining us live now from Apple Park in California is our tech expert. And they're from EFTM as well, Trevor Long. Trevor, good to see you. Thanks for your time. So bring us up to speed. Tell us about the pitch. What's been unveiled?
Morning, Pete. Good to be with you. And yeah, 5 new products essentially, 4 new iPhones and 1 or 2 Apple Watches. So iPhone 15, 15 Plus, in a range of colours. For the first time, I've seen such a wide variety of palette from Apple in the launch. So pink, green, blue, yellow, and black. And then their Pro models have now got a titanium finish. So instead of stainless steel, it's quite a stunning looking finish, but it's also really light. So it's a much lighter in the hand phone. So those Pro models also have the best camera technology that Apple has to offer, including a prism lens, which allows you to get 5 times zoom on the iPhone Pro Max. And they've gotten rid of, Pete, the little toggle switch that allows you to mute your phone. On the Pro models, that's been replaced by a button which you can program to be mute or camera, whatever you like to be.
So is it more of the same with upgrades, Trevor, or is this, you know, some of the biggest changes that Apple has done for a long time?
In one way, it's actually the biggest change they've done in a very long time. They've had to change the charging port from Lightning, which is something they created 11, 12 years ago, to USB-C. Now, they didn't mention here that it was forced upon them by the European Union, but they just said it was a universally accepted standard. But from now, the iPhone 15, if your partner has a Samsung and you've got an iPhone, you can both use the exact same charger to charge your phone. Everything else, though, is a bit incremental, but I would say this is probably the biggest leap forward we've had since probably the iPhone 12. So it's a decent upgrade, and I think it targets perfectly people who've got a 4 or 5 year old phone, people who've got the iPhone 10, 10S or 11. This is going to be a huge leap forward for them.
Okay, well, I have an 11. Maybe time to upgrade. What are the costs, Trevor?
They start at $14.99 for the standard iPhone 15, and they make their way up to $21.99 for the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and that's at its entry-level 256GB configuration. So you could spend even more than that if you wanted to. Broadly, it feels like it's about $50 to $100 more than last year, which I think, given the financial currency exchange, would probably come off pretty well there in Australia.
When you say $14.99, $21.99, is that American dollars or Australian dollars?
No, they're the Australian prices.
Okay.
So yeah, the Australian price starts at $1,499.
Let's get to these watches. You mentioned the 2 watches. What are the changes there, Trev?
Yeah, so Series 9 and Ultra 2, broadly better brightness, so much brighter screen for when you're out in the daylight, better process, so it does a lot more, and also it allows you to do Siri on the watch, so it can actually work pretty hard for you. You can ask it things about your health and things without needing an internet connection. This sounds crazy, but the best feature is a new double tap feature. So on the watch that you're wearing the watch on, you can just tap your fingers together and it will action whatever's on screen. So if your alarm's going off, double tap, snooze. Someone's ringing you, double tap, answer the phone. So I think that'll go down very well, because it means that when you've got your hands full, you can still action your Apple Watch without touching it.
Okay, now you've done a few of these launches now, Trevor, and you were last on the program talking about the foldable Samsung watch. So how does this iPhone 15 stack up? I mean, is it worth the upgrade in your expert opinion?
I say continuously, if you've got a phone from the last 2 years, don't rush out and get this. It's almost insanity, and it's frankly financially it's not a very wise thing to do. But in terms of that upgrade for people like you, Pete, who've got the 11, if you're going to stay in the Apple ecosystem, this is a great leap forward, great time to buy. If you're going to put the Samsung and the Apple head to head, there's no doubt that Samsung has things that are better than Apple. I would say things like camera zoom and stuff like that. But usability and the ecosystem that Apple have absolutely win them over with most customers in the market.
Apple, I don't suppose they spoke about this today. Hey, correct me if I'm wrong, Trevor, but last week about $300 billion was wiped off the value of Apple because of China, and basically China restricting the use of Apple on government devices, etc. Is there any mention about the economics of Apple going forward today?
No, there was no mention of that. It's a huge loss for Apple. The Chinese market was a big growth market. But you know what? Respect for the Chinese. They've basically gone back in America and said, look, if you're going to ban our stuff, like the Huawei phones, why wouldn't we ban yours? If you're going to ban TikTok and the government, why shouldn't we ban your phone? So I don't know how Apple gets around that, given that's basically a political war they're under.
Okay. Was there any new earbuds, anything like that today, Trev?
No updates to the earbuds, but the Apple AirPods Pro have a new charging case that has the same connector, the USB-C connector. So if you buy them now, you'll get that same connector.
One cable to rule them all now. Trevor Long, always good to have you with us.
That's right.
Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate that. We'll see you when you get back.